So it looks like Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon have both been let go from Fox and CNN almost on the same day. At least it's appearing on the news on the same day. And I would say good riddance, especially with Don Lemon. Don Lemon, I don't never watched his show. I just would see other people ranting about this guy, and yeah, good riddance for him. But you know what? Good riddance for Tucker Carlson too. And no need to feel sorry for either one of these guys. They are multi-millionaires. They are more than financially taken care of. And someone like Tucker Carlson is going to definitely bounce back one way or another. I think from what I saw, his net worth is almost like $400 million, if that's accurate. He was getting paid, I believe, like around $30 million a year by Fox. Rachel Maddow gets paid $30 million a year. Look, that's someone else. I'll be honest. I'd like to see that person lose their job too. Because these are the people that are creating a false divide and like forcing people to make a choice, a false choice among Americans. And they're really blinding us to what are our real problems. Like the abusively overpriced cost of healthcare, and what is becoming now the abusively overpriced cost of housing, and how many people, especially younger people, it's getting more and more difficult for people to be able to afford a home. And I don't even want to get started with homeowners associations. I wish I had the time and the money to make a 3-hour documentary on how I think that in itself is almost a conspiracy theory, but whatever. Bottom line is, the other thing why I'm glad Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon got fired is because they're not real journalists. And real journalists who risk their lives, many who have lost their lives, get paid nothing anywhere near what these guys are getting paid. And by the way, I'm a capitalist. If the market is there, I mean, if Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon are kind of like professional athletes in comparison to teachers, for example, you know, and that age-old debate, like, well, why are teachers getting paid so little while professional athletes get paid millions of dollars? Because there's a market for it. And unfortunately, that's part of the problem. How much of society is willing to plunk down so much for when it comes to just sports merchandise and season tickets and all that, but not for their kids' education. And that's why you have that massive discrepancy. It's what I would say is the double-edged sword of capitalism. But again, that could be a whole other 3-hour documentary. What I really wanted to focus on with this one, because I was meaning to make a video about what Tucker Carlson gets right, quote unquote, and what he gets dead wrong. And what I mean by what he gets right, quote unquote, is what I think, what I agree with the guy on. I agreed with him on many things, especially like, for example, this one. Democrats are stoking racial violence. Let's see how long that video now stays up on YouTube. That I agreed with him. That needs to be called out. Not just needed. It needs to continuously be called out, especially considering we're going to have a presidential election next year. And it looks like Joe Biden is not going to fare well, and neither are many Democrats. And I'm willing to bet, I hope I'm wrong, but Black Lives Matter, they're going to be on the streets. They're going to be exploiting and sensationalizing any and every arrest of a Black American. If a Black American is jaywalking, that's going to become like enough to like just riot on the streets, basically. And that's a problem that needs to be called out. And I would hope it would come to an end. I would hope more people could show Black Lives Matter, the very founders, for the bad faith activists that they are. I don't think those women are operating on good intentions. I think their motive is more than anything revenge. But anyway, that'd be a 3-hour documentary to get into, and I don't want to get sued for libel, slander, or defamation either. What I think someone like Tucker Carlson got dead wrong is when he would make videos like this one titled, "This Will Make You Sick to Your Stomach." And basically, first of all, he's not only telling you what to think, he's telling you how to feel, to top that off. And that particular video is, of course, about Ukraine and about the whistleblower from the Pentagon. But yeah, he is basically making it seem like we're at war with Russia just to enrich a few people. Now, unfortunately, yeah, quite a few people probably being enriched by this, especially after the hundreds. I think we're now well into over $100 billion being spent on the war in Ukraine. But I really do agree that it is an existential fight for human rights. We cannot allow one of the nuclear powers of the world, and I believe Russia has the most nuclear weapons, to just go around invading other nations and just claiming territory as their own. And not even their own. I don't even want to blame the Russians. This is Putin. This is Vladimir Putin and his inner circle of evil. And to play that down, I would say that's almost evil. And I'm atheist, and I'm not going to get into that little rant either. But this is why I think, yeah, it was about high time that Tucker Carlson's ego got taken down quite a few notches. But the influence is still going to be there. There's so many people that just, they only think in terms of liberal conservative. And for that matter, I don't see anything wrong with being a liberal or a conservative. I consider myself both. But people who look at politics from either the spectrum of being a lefty progressive or a right-wing religious person, I don't want to resort to the word rube. Of course not. I grew up religious, and it's a hijacking of the mind. Sorry. It's got to be called out for what it is. It's false, but whatever. That would be a 3-hour documentary too. I just wanted to put this out there with everybody commenting and shooting their mouth off. People like myself who are political news junkies, and people like myself that want to see problems get solved once and for all, but we're not being served by the Tucker Carlsons or the Don Lemons, or I would even say the Joe Rogans. You would think that Joe Rogan would be the ideal man in the middle. You know, he was the voice for the reasonable middle, if I'm not mistaken. But there's a lot of issues that it's not about being in the middle. It's not about being in the center. It's about being factually correct about what are the causes of the problem and then solving it once and for all. Like when it comes to healthcare. When it comes to healthcare, it's not about being in the middle. It's about realizing what are the things driving the abusively overpriced cost of healthcare, beginning with with private insurance companies that have eliminated the competition for themselves. We need private health insurance companies. That's the irony that people like Bernie Sanders and AOC will never understand. Or maybe they do, but they're just too duplicitous to ever admit it. Not to mention the pharmaceutical companies as well, that I'm amazed that our government still can't do collective bargaining for drug prices. And especially that there are still issues where Americans cannot just buy generic drugs from other countries or across. Yeah, I think even just from Canada. If that's still an issue, if I'm not mistaken, I'm just shooting my mouth off here. But and not to mention the lack of competition among doctors who deserve whatever they want to charge. But if there were more competition, the prices would definitely level out. Not to mention tort reform. And the lawyers that definitely don't want to see that take place, like Obama. Obama, if I'm not mistaken, he was fighting against tort reform because he's a lawyer. And so are most career politicians. And that's my point. To solve these problems, it's not about being in the middle. It's not about, hey, let's all, just hold hands and let's just compromise. There are things that there's no need. You do not need. You should never compromise on gravity, for example. You should not compromise on the passage of time. You can't. There's certain aspects of reality that you compromise on that and you deny it at your peril. And people like Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon and Rachel Maddow and so many others, they blind us to that. And, I am no fan of George Soros, that boogeyman, but I'm also no fan of Rupert Murdoch. And just and he's Australian, for Christ's sakes. What is he doing? Trying to screw up our politics in this country. And we need to solve these problems. There's so many problems that not only could they be solved, they could be avoided altogether. And I would like to see more people out there, people with deep pockets, who are as liberal as they are conservative. People who are pro-abortion, I'll skip the euphemism of pro-choice, who are as pro-abortion as they are pro-death penalty. Look, those are two issues that usually cancel each other out. People who are for abortions are usually against the death penalty and vice versa. And we need them both to be legal. And that could be 3-day documentaries. That could be an entire series. By the way, anybody with deep pockets, I don't even care to be a personality. I don't want to be the centrist. I don't want to be I wouldn't mind actually, being the atheist, politically independent, capitalist Tucker Carlson. But I'd be just as happy doing research. I'd be just as happy just helping people acquire accurate information about what are the solutions to our problems that people like Tucker Carlson, people like Don Lemon, and so many others are not helping us see. With all that said, if you like what I said, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and check out the links below for my art and merchandise, my original art and merchandise like this shirt, Think Outside Your Tribe, which is one of the things I would love to get people to do. Think outside your tribes. You don't have to be Republican or Democrat. Actually, I really wish people were not either or. Last thing I will say in this video, hopefully it'll travel. Hopefully this video will get more than the average 25 views that my videos usually get. Rank choice voting. We need that. We need to put an end to the duopoly that we have taking over our country, which is the Democrat and Republican Party. And I will link down below to videos that explain that a lot better than I could, as I'm trying to wind this one up so it won't be too long. With all that said, like I said, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, check out the links below for my original art and merchandise, and thanks for watching.